The Vostro account over there and the Nostro account at the origin, ours and theirs, no longer are necessary. There's like a consensual handshake, and it eliminates the need for the escrow accounts, which will free up $10 to $15 trillion in the global financial system. XRP is like 500,000 to 1 million times faster, cheaper combination, the cost effectiveness compared to SWIFT. Ripple has set up numerous different layers for servicing and platform and rails, integration with central banks. Sign up for the Hedrick letter. Sign up for the Hedrick letter on golden-jackass.com. And the last 2 months have been loaded with information that should convince even the most basic of investors, not necessarily naive, but the most basic and young and inexperienced investors. This is a 10x gainer in the next year. This is perhaps a 20, 30, 40x gainer in the next couple of years. And XRP will be at the center of global transfer systems, even by offices that are not part of the Ripple ecosystem, the entire Ripple system. Like SWIFT, they're going to be relegated to running memos. Here's the memo on the receiving bank account, all the detail with the SWIFT code. Let's see if I can remember what it stands for. SWIFT, Society for Worldwide International Transactions or Transfer Systems. Okay. Sign up for the newsletter. Learn about XRP, because this is your second chance if you missed out on Bitcoin and its 1,000-fold gains. I missed out on it, except for a little bit on the wake. It's a long story I tell on consult calls. But XRP is part of the digital revolution, and the major players are now participating. They're not obstructing. The SEC Chairman Paul Atkins is all in favor. The CFTC Chairman Fan, she's brilliant, and she's leading the way, helping Ripple to blaze the path. And Ripple, with their XRP product, they're building partnerships. They're not building competitors. All right.
We'll have more with Jim Willie right after this.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
You're listening to goldradio.fm. Available online at HowStreet.com, TalkDigitalNetwork.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Jim Willie. The United Kingdom is standing up. Do you see hope for the UK?
I don't know. It's hard to say. It's a good sign. They're rebelling against the favored treatment for illegal immigrants regarding prosecution for crimes and regarding housing. It's a little known fact by Americans, but there are 70 little cities in England whose mayors are Islamic. 70 cities. Okay, they've got an extraordinary situation, far out of control. I wish the British citizens luck. I hope they don't get mowed down, arrested, beaten, killed in their demonstration. They need to do something about their elites and their leadership. We need to get away from this leadership concept that it's got to be a gay pedophile. We got to get away from that. Good luck, England. My heart's behind you.
The UK just passed a law that makes it illegal for politicians to deceive the public and other public officials like police officers after a major incident. And it followed a soccer stadium trampling event where dozens of people were killed. Do we need to have the same kind of law here where it's illegal for politicians and their officials to lie to the public?
I don't know. I don't care much about laws. I care about enforcement. I don't believe those laws in England can be enforced. I mean, there are laws against murder. Has that stopped murder? There are laws against fraud. Has that stopped fraud? There are laws against prostitution. Has that stopped prostitution? There are laws against, child trafficking. Has that stopped child trafficking? We don't need laws. I remember when I was a kid, there were a lot of stupid laws about gun control. Then later we learned that the cities that have more guns have less crime. Let's move on.
If France falls, will it take the European Union down with it?
I think so, yes. France is the center of the governmental center. Oh, gosh, it's hard to describe. It's like the governmental castle of Europe. The financial castle is Switzerland. The governmental castle is France. I remember 3 years ago, Marine Le Pen won the election, but they paid her, I heard 300 million euros. That's a hard figure to hide. So where is that, Marine? Is that in like a Caribbean bank? I don't know. I don't really care. I do think that if France falls, Germany will fall with it, and that's it. Then the third one will have to be Netherlands. And if those three fall, we're going to have severe attention and focus put on Brussels, which is the head of not only the European Union Commission and Parliament, but it's the head of NATO. Brussels is like the very evil hive, and I don't want to get into the Satanism. Most people don't have any concept of Satanism. Let's move on.
From the outside looking in, does Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, look like an economic hitman?
I don't know. He looks to me like a better polished Trudeau, but he hasn't done jack to fix the country, and your country has to be fixed at the top with your police force, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. They're all corrupt. They're all vaccinated. And until you do something about enforcing broken laws, fraud, and treason in your parliament, you're not going to get anywhere. Your Praetorian Guard is the Mounties. And I've met a couple. When I was 15, I was in Saskatchewan for the summer. It was an interesting summer. My father had a teaching position for the summer session in Saskatchewan, and it was a lot of fun. So was the 10:15 p.m. sunset. We met a couple Mounties, and they were big, strong, sturdy guys playing golf. Right now, my guess is the Mounties are strong guys who have a CCP payoff and a hidden account. Okay, there's no law enforcement in Canada, and I'm not an expert in Canada, but Carney hasn't done jack shit, okay? And it looked to me like something was set in the stage when the fake Prince Charles, King Charles, that is not the same Prince Charles elevated. He's long dead. The fake King Charles announced that Canada was sitting on squatted Native American land, tribal lands. So that could set the legal precedent for a confiscation or a annexation, not confiscation, annexation and a withdrawal from the Canadian Commonwealth by Alberta and Saskatchewan. So that has to be brought into focus. All right.
Is Canada and specifically British Columbia considered by the Trump administration to be a narco state?
I don't know. I think the Trump administration would be very stupid if they didn't know that British Columbia was a Chinese Communist Party colony. For being a narco state, I don't know about that. I think Trump is trying to splinter off Alberta and Saskatchewan for their independent spirit and their very deep natural resources.
Could Russia invade Poland for its silver reserves?
Well, first of all, when "its" is a possessive, there's no apostrophe. That's just a little nit that I focus on a lot. There's a funny fact of metal mining life. A funny fact of metal mining life, and that is that Poland produces approximately the same amount of silver as Russia, even though Russia might be somewhere like 80 times larger. I'm just throwing out that figure. I think Russia has plenty of silver reserves. They've just been focusing on the easier targets of oil and gas, which are, I think they're much easier to produce. Metal is more difficult to produce. It has to go through a refining process after a concentrate process. I think there's probably a lot of silver in Russia. Maybe it's deeper down. I don't really know. I'm not a geologist, but it's very interesting that Poland has some rather serious silver deposits.
What's the latest on the Epstein files?
I don't know. I haven't kept up a lot with it except for the Senate vote in the United States, 51-49, not to publish. What we're going to be seeing with the Epstein's file is a lot of individuals coming forward, a lot of peripheral groups making the data known. Somebody just produced, I can't think of the fellow's name, but he produced some videos, and I don't know how he obtained them, from Epstein Island. And it could very well be that in a month or two, that man will be dead. I mean, killed for doing the reveal. I don't know. I do have rather strong belief that the Epstein files will be a point of contention for the next several years. I mean, more than a year or two, like 6, 8, 10 years, because it's the control device for so many Western politicians. I only know of one story with details, and that's with Vermont's Marxist Senator Bernie Sanders. And that's a sordid story that I would tell only during a consult call. Yeah, there's a lot going on with Epstein files, and Ghislaine Maxwell might turn out to be a rather interesting person to buy her way out of jail. But they might fake her death so she can get out without too many people understanding what the hell is going on. How many Americans and Canadians know that Epstein's still alive, even after his death in prison? Okay? Most people are not that smart, and we have to accept that. I know a lot of educated people, they're not that smart. And even many smart people are not that eager to investigate, so they remain not very well informed. Bad combination. Let's move on.
Are we likely to see Christians versus Muslim religion wars?
I think we've had them for 50 years. I think the tougher question is, are we going to see Christian versus Muslim battles in U.S. and Canadian cities? And I think the answer is yes. It's going to start out with ICE, what's that, the Immigration Control Enforcement, the ICE police arresting the immigrants, the illegal immigrants. So far, it's been mostly a Latino issue, but it could change and expand into a Muslim issue. Where we might see the Muslim conflict in the United States, I believe, will be in Michigan and Minnesota. That's my personal belief.
Do you think fluoride in the water is causing people to become dumber and dumber? And by the way, Vancouver has never had fluoride.
Yes, but not in a big way. The dosage is very small. I think it's hard. We got some confounding factors. You could say that Americans and Canadians have seen a slide in their IQ, their intelligence quotient, in the last 10 or 20 years. And it's hard to know whether it's from video games or broken marriages and families, or whether it's in bad diet, toxins in the food, and that includes fluoride. To convince the public in North America that a poison called fluoride is good to strengthen teeth is one of the greatest travesties in modern times. In the Manhattan Project in the 1940s, in New Mexico, where they were developing the atomic bomb, there were approximately 10 or 12, maybe more, scientists who died of fluoride poisoning. Yet we put it in the water and convinced the dumbass public that it's good to strengthen your teeth, and it has no effect on your teeth. Sugar has effect on your teeth. So we ignore the sugar and we promote the poison for teeth. Unbelievable. All right, so fluoride, along with all the different treatments to kill parasites, fluoride will become a topic of concern very soon, and I welcome it.
The Fed just lowered interest rates 0.25%. Is that going to have a major impact?
Well, yeah, it won't be an impact on what you want. It'll be an impact on the point of least resistance, which is speculative investments. It'll bring money into the stock market to pump up the value of stocks, even though there's a depression still in the economy. It will bring about investment in Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and the other altcoins. Will it bring about a big investment for expanding businesses, hiring workers, and bringing about greater economic activity, producing things, more services? Maybe a tiny amount. Okay, we need to understand, in North America, we're largely a speculative community when it comes to money. Regarding North America, we're still deindustrialized. Will it bring about more foreign direct investment? I don't know. I kind of doubt it. If we have fewer tariffs, it would. Will it bring about an expansion in the S&P 500 companies when it's difficult to hire capable workers? I don't think so. We need 10 years of better education in North America. We need 10 years of dropping off the DEI bullshit for hiring people based on racial quotas who can't do their jobs. We need people to learn in school not what their favorite pronoun is, but what algebra is all about. And what the quadratic formula is all about, and what a sine wave and trigonometry is all about, and what polynomials are all about, and what wattage and voltage are all about. Instead, we got video game kids. Instead, we got fat kids with obesity and diabetes. We have an education problem that we will need perhaps close to a generation to overcome. There's been sabotage. A 0.25% interest rate is going to produce a bond rally, but will wipe out many different bond buyers at auctions because it's less reward for the higher risk of debt default. Okay, we're in an intractable situation. We have no solution at all for our $37 trillion in debt. The only solutions I see are bringing gold to the table in 100,000-ton units. And that will not be done as long as the cabal is still partially in power and rooted. I'm going to have to, close this, Jim.
Where can our listeners subscribe to the Hat Trick Letter to get your latest issue and contact you for a private consultation?
It's www.golden-jackass.com. The Stock and Trade is the newsletter. There's only one. I call it the Hat Trick Letter. I got consult sessions. I have one later on today. They're actually a lot of fun. They're stimulating for the information flow back and forth. I benefit, once in a while, I benefit in a very big way from boots on the ground from a consulting client who's got information that's valuable. If you don't like the newsletter and you just like podcasts, hit the donation button and do it regularly. Just help pay the way. I'm putting my life on the line, and I'm not exaggerating. I've had some near-death experiences here, several, and I'm up to 9 dead people in the last 8 years. 9 dead people right around me, and each one has a cost. So hit the consult button for a consult session, hit the donate button, sign up for the newsletter, and if you're wealthy and you've got a lot of zeros on your net worth, touch the sponsor button and help me out in a big way. Someone did just a few days ago, and I fell to my knees to thank the Lord Jesus Christ because that man was a Christian, and he continues to help me. All right. This is year 22 of the newsletter. Help support me. I'm being harmed, but I'm still strong.
Jim, thank you so much for talking with us.
I appreciate the exposure, and good luck to you all.